like when we I want to go back to dancing, yeah, just a little bit because something I just remembered something, yeah, like do you remember like because like I said because I'm 34, yeah, like in the early 2000s when a lot of music videos were coming out, I don't know if you remember that there used to be so much dancing like in the
Yeah.
music videos and everybody's just like they saw
I
the
grew up
dancing
watching them.
moves. You get what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say,
Yeah.
like, do you feel like we would ever get back to certain people? Because even for you, you said earlier, innit?
Yeah.
You literally said earlier that you tried to put all of the elements that you do within some of your
Yeah.
music videos, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, yeah, that I'm not gonna lie, I miss that, you know. I miss that
Yeah.
about music videos where like you got sections of like just dancers, just people getting
Yeah.
involved and doing their thing within the music videos and all of that. Like moving forward in the future, are you definitely gonna keep the aspect of like putting more dancers in your music videos as well?
Yeah, and I was
I
one of
miss
those
it.
people that I love watching it. Like I would always
Come
learn the
on, Miss
choreo.
Elliott, all of these people.
Yeah,
Oh my.
Missy Elliott. Yeah, she's one of my influences. I think whether I acknowledge that consciously or subconsciously, I feel like I am because I grew up listening to her stuff,
Yeah.
and I love her music, and I just any song that has like dance choreo, I enjoy it because even with people like you know for example Chris Brown, like he's coming off as a
Crazy.
triple threat, so. He can act, he can dance, he can sing,
can
he's a
rap.
performer, he can rap. So
He's
I feel
different.
like there's something, I love creative people
Yes.
and I like to have multiple things that I can do. Like even with Beyonce, I remember Single Ladies, like when that came out, that was really like, that was
Crazy.
viral. And I have myself like wanting to like do the routines, you know? It's really, I love it because I like to be entertained. As much as I like to entertain, I like to be entertained. I like to watch something, I'm very visual.
And even that's what even I say once again, you hit the key word there. The key word here is entertained.
Yeah.
Once again, music artists, like the music that we grew up on, it's like we got entertained in different aspects, like what we said.
Yeah.
The music was good, the dances was good. Even like some of the things that were going on in the music videos, just a little bit more creative. And overall, you just love the whole package
Yeah.
of like everything they gave you, the music video, the song, etc., etc. You know, like the UK music, like what are your thoughts on it? Do you feel proud to be, you know, like part of the UK music industry, or sometimes you feel like we could be doing better as like a music as just like yeah as the music industry? Like what are your thoughts on the music industry in general?
I feel like we like the music industry in the UK. The songs are great, but I feel like we could be doing a lot more better. It does feel like there is like a whole. I feel like a lot of people, like say for example, let's take the music genre,
Yeah.
grime and drill. I don't want anyone to behead me for this, but you know, I just got to be authentic in my opinion. I feel like a lot of the times, to me as a consumer, I feel like a lot of the times it sounds repetitive, but in a different person, if that makes sense. As in, like, it seems to be like a common topic of what they're discussing in the rap.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I've heard this. Okay, you know, Bad B. There's always a woman shaking her ass. We're trapping. We're ducking from police. Like it seems repetitive. It's like, okay, cool. That's your story. That's, you know, you talk your shit, but it feels very like, okay, what's next?
I
You
had
know, and it seems very also simple, and
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay. And the people who I've connected to, and they're like, oh, have you heard of this person, or why don't you gravitate towards this music, or why don't you do this? And this is like proper UK music. But I feel like it's weird because I'm born and raised in London, and I feel like for some reason my music doesn't reflect that, and it's weird because it's like I should be more ingrained in it. Yet there are people who they've been to the UK, like they've emigrated to the UK, and they've more assimilated into that very quickly. But with me, it's like I'm born and raised here, and I feel like I haven't. My music still doesn't gear off towards that sort of genre. So I feel like maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just if something feels a bit more like okay, that's that kind of lifestyle. I feel like I can't always relate to it, or I can't really, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think me properly listening to you, I think what it is, yeah, like your spirit. If we're talking about spiritually,
yeah,
your spirit is. I think your spirit hasn't really gravitated to like
yeah,
what you're saying to just the UK thing. It's a
yeah,
global thing for you. It's a global
yeah.
thing, and even like, would you say you growing up? Would you say you've listened to more American music than UK growing up to a
Yeah.
certain degree?
Oh, definitely.
You get me? So
Definitely.
subconsciously, I feel like that's why as well. You
Yeah.
get me?
I
Yeah.
feel like but with me I'm so open to just other I feel like what you mentioned about the spiritual element to it. It's also like what's being rapped about, what is being said.
Absolutely.
And
That's
I
very
gravitate more
important.
towards that because of me. Like, I feel like as I've gotten older, even more so, I'm very careful about what I listen to, because sometimes I feel like if I listen to too much of something, like it feels like it gets more ingrained in the lifestyle. And like even when it comes to like the like random, like say for example, even because I made a song called Gender Wars, which talks about, you know, the differences between men and women, like, you know, because there's a lot of gender wars going on.
Of course.
And the things that men and women say in their songs now is so different to what I grew up. But before, it was like there was love songs, there was uplifting, everything was so sweet. And then nowadays it's
I miss those
like
days.
there's like battle against each other, and I'm like, what is going on, you know? Like, and I feel like if I repeatedly listen to something that's like, it kind of like gets digested into my system, and I just you know, I like to go towards more music that kind of empowers me, you know. So even when I feel sad, I'm always listening to empowering music. I'm like, yeah, you know, like, okay, cool, like you get back up, you know, things like that. So yeah.
Like when you was growing up, yeah, which people did you like look up to in terms of like female music artists?
I feel like Missy Elliott, a little bit of Aaliyah, but more so songs that kind of made me feel like I feel like with me, even though I'm a woman, I feel like I gravitate towards music that's kind of like hip hoppy, R&B, more of the like, you know, that kind of vibe. I'm also trying to think about what I listen to now and see if there's any correlation. Like the only UK artist that I know that I've listened to a lot, because I like what she does, is Little Sims, you know.
Bigger up.
Yeah.
That's like a sister. You know when you
Yeah.
you just see someone that
Yeah.
you're proud of how they've developed as a music artist.
So proud
what they
of her,
stand for. And it's
yeah.
like, yeah, big up Little
Yeah,
Sims.
so it's kind of like more about the messages of the empowerment of what they're saying that kind of I gravitate more towards. And even though I love Beyonce, like I wouldn't say it's like more of like, oh my god, like I'm one of those like Bayhives or Beehives, whatever the fan is.
Yeah.
It's more of like I grew up just listening to like very creative sort of vibes, and even in the rap scene, like Lil' Kim, Nicki Minaj here and there, but it's more to do with like, I think it's more of like feeling like a bit empowered, that kind of music. But I also listen to a lot of male rappers as well, but they're mostly American, that's the thing. So yeah.
You see that these I'm starting to ask a lot of music artists here, because once again, we went through a phase where you see that these UK music shows, basically like X Factor, The Voice, all of these.
Yeah.
Come on, all of us we indulged, and we went through a phase when we used to watch them on the weekends, especially for me, obviously X Factor,
Yeah.
And even something I wanna often ask people like you, like music artists who are unique in your own lane. You get me, like. What would you like? Would you like if you ever got an opportunity to go on them? Because again, not to keep on going all over the place. Obviously, some people think it's all a set up. You get what I'm trying to say? It's not as it's meant to be. This and that. There's a way that they set up. Obviously, these shows. But also, I look at it. Maybe it is, or maybe it's not. Like I think each person is different in it, in how they perceive these shows. In it, like if you ever got like a call, like an opportunity to just go on these shows, even if you deep down you know it might be a setup, whatever, but it might expose you to just like even a few more new people, a few new faces and whatever. Like, would you take the opportunity? And also, what are your thoughts about these shows just in general, like in these days that we're living in? Because obviously we live in different times, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I would love the opportunity. Whether it's set up or not, I don't know. But even if it is, it would be a nice opportunity just to be able to get on that stage and perform to thousands of people, because I'm used to performing to people, but not to that capacity. So it would be nice to challenge myself, like, wow, like, can I really do something like that? And even though I've made a lot of rap music, I feel like I would go on and sing if that was the case. And yeah, I know a lot of people that I know personally that have gone on shows that way, like The Voice. A lot of people I know have gone on The Voice for the UK, and they've shared their experience and they enjoyed the experience. Unfortunately, they didn't get around to like to the point where like you would win, but just being in the beginning section, like they're really, really happy that they even had that experience. So it'd be a beauty to experience it. There's even a female artist that I really like as well, and she doesn't even make the same type of music as me. Her name is Melanie Martinez. She's very different, you know. It's her uniqueness and her belief systems and her spirituality and just the way it's just authentically her, what I'm drawn to. And she she got to where she is through The Voice, things like that, when she was young.
Okay.
And I never would have thought so, because I would have thought that, oh, only like someone who's mainstream and that, but she's so like the opposite of mainstream. Is very different, you know. So she kind of used that experience and built on that experience to bring her, like, to brand her name and build her own community. And she has a very loyal community because she's just very unique. Like, you wouldn't think that she would be in this industry, but she's very unique. Her music is not like what you would see anywhere. It's very like for specific types of people. Yeah.
And even going back to you, that's why I feel like people like you, yeah, you see, when it comes to exposure, I feel like music artists like you, yeah, that's all you need. The more exposure that you can get, I feel like there's so many different people. I don't know if you realize, I always like to use different people around the world, because the world we live in, we can't forget that there's a big world out there. There's so many different countries, you get me? And the good thing about not forgetting about how big the world is, how different people are around the world, it's like you can keep on reminding yourself, like, either consciously or subconsciously, like, no, these are in this country might not get my thing, but if I got the right exposure, these people would, these people waiting to get my thing. Exactly what you just said with that woman, like, you get me? Like, she used that in her own way, she got exposure, and now she's doing good. That's why even I was going back to these shows in the first place, saying, like, would you like to, you know, like, if the opportunity came about, because I feel like, yeah, man, like, if you have it at the back of your mind, like, no, I'm going to go there because I want the exposure. I want to go there, get my exposure there until I find my people, because,
exactly.
Like,
especially when you said find my people.
Your
like,
tribe,
I just,
people that really fuck with you.
I'd rather have a very loyal fan base that like me for me than to be like, okay, let me just
1,000,000%.
let me just not be myself and have everyone else, you know, like me. Like, I'd rather just, I would love a refined community, you know.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about you see, at the beginning of this year, like, did you have, like, do you set goals? You know, like, obviously you got people who set goals, or people who just go with the flow and try to do whatever they've got to do. Like, are you one of them people that set goals either weekly or monthly? Like, how do you do your thing?
With me, I set a goal. I don't wait until January 1st. Like, I just set goals whenever I feel like. Because sometimes because like now, like, I'm in this mode of like, I'm single, so I have all the time in the world to reflect. You know, I'm like, okay, so what is this about? This thing in my life that I want to change. Okay. And with me, it all goes back to the self, like a lot of self-concept. I'm like, okay, there's things in myself. How can I develop myself? And in doing that, I feel like I also, it makes it easier for me to hit those goals that I'm setting. Everything just feels more aligned. Once I focus on myself and I self-develop me and I focus on my self-concept, then everything else makes it a lot more easier to go after my goals. So I'm like, okay, now that I know who I am, okay, this is what I want. This is what I want to achieve. This is what, you know. And a lot of the time I do set goals and I do achieve them. And anything that I haven't achieved, I'm like, okay, cool. What can I do differently? Because doing the same thing and expecting the same result can be madness. So I'm like, let me change my perspective and let me change the way I'm doing it and then try this one, you know. So yeah.
You do like, by the way, like, I'm loving this conversation, by the way. You know, sometimes you just speak to people and it's like, you just love how the conversation is flowing. So I just thought I'd just throw it out there.
Thank you.
I'm really loving this conversation.
I'm enjoying it too.
You know, that's really good as well that you're enjoying it, yeah. Like all of these things that you do as well, your music, your dancing, you know, we're even going to speak about soon, you're a co-founder of something, innit?
Yeah.
You're a co-founder, I'll bring it up afterwards as well. You get me? Like, all of these amazing things that you're doing, yeah. Like, have you got to a point in your life where you actually understand, and that's the key word, yeah, you actually understand why you was born?
Oh, that's a deep one. Very philosophical.
We try to balance out the conversation, you know, like, because this is reality, like, because so many people, I'm not going to talk for too long, I promise, yeah, because we're all going through our own journeys, isn't it? So many of us, we fell in love with sports, entertainment, want to do this, want to do that, business. But I feel like, for me anyway, like, personally, this is why I ask different people this question, because I feel like I've reached a point in my life where I feel like it's very, very important for me to literally, regardless of my talents, to understand why the fuck was I born, literally. So that's why I'm even asking you. Have you reached that point? Yeah.
I feel like I'm on that journey too, because I do feel like I have a purpose, but I don't feel like my purpose is just one thing. I feel like I'm meant to do multiple things, but it's like those things are being used as a vessel for that one purpose. So I do feel like by doing that, like say for example, if I'm very passionate about humanitarian causes and I want to change the world and leave it different in a beautiful way, how do I get through to the people? Everyone loves music. Let me use what I'm gifted in to get through to the people and things like that. Or if some people may feel like, oh, I don't have a purpose, or I'm not good at anything. Like sometimes living your best life authentically, being you as you are, can be a purpose to someone. They will watch that and be like, you know what, they can step into their power. I need to do that too, you know, and things like that. So I'm in that journey of discovering, but yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like, exactly, I agree, you know. I feel like when you do all of these things that you love doing, that you're passionate about, you get me? I feel like that could align you in terms of like finding your actual purpose. But because I feel like sometimes, obviously, when you do things you don't really enjoy or you're not really passionate about, that could draw you even further from your purpose. So yeah, I totally agree, man. First and foremost, you just need to find what you love, innit? And then as time goes by, you work out. Because, yeah, man, finding out why we was born, because I feel like a lot of us, or should I say all of us, were no accidents, innit? Because I believe God doesn't make mistakes, innit?
Yeah.
So when all of us were born, because even sometimes, you know, that you get to a certain age and you think about certain deep questions.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
and to be fair, sometimes people call it deep. I like to just call it like reality, life questions, innit? Depends how deep you might look at that question. And I think to myself, like, surely, like, any other person could have been born, like, but why was I born? Why did I get chosen, you know, for me to develop in my mum's stomach for 9 years and for me to be born, you get me? So I think sometimes it's very important for all of us to have that reflection in it and ask ourselves, like, why am I here in this crazy world? Like, you get what I'm trying to say? So it's like, I love it, man. So talking about Christmas, you get me? Like, the year's nearly finished. Like, how grateful, like, how blessed, how grateful do you feel, to see off another year? Because once again, like, so many people have died, so many rich, poor, whatever, people have died. And once again, it's like, a lot of us, we're still here.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about spiritually, we're still here, we must be still here for a reason, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
like, if we're talking about in reality, like, when people say like, live your best life to a certain degree, because you could be here 1 minute and gone another, you got into the So how grateful are you, like, to see, to end another year? And
absolutely, absolutely grateful. I feel like I make it my like absolute mission to express gratitude every day. With me, I believe in God, I pray to God. So I really do express a lot of gratitude for the good and the bad. And I'm not gonna lie, when you're going through something that is painful and catastrophic,
it's hard.
It's really hard. Like in that moment, I'll be honest with me, I'll be having my little breakdowns here and there. But then I collect myself again. I'm like, you know what? What did this teach me? How is this shaping me? What are the patterns? Like how can I move forward? Why did I think that this happened? And now that if I've learned the lesson, how can I avoid this? Things like that. So I'm grateful for the good and the bad. And one thing about me that I love is no matter what, I can always bounce back. And I feel like that's my superpower. And it just catapults me into a further upgrade in my life. And I'm like, and in the moment when it's happening, I'm really upset. But then like, just give it, this sounds really quick, but just give it a week or two. And I'm like, you know what? I'm glad that happened. Oh my God, it's making me to be the best version of myself. It had to happen this way, So yeah.